I am so happy that you have joined us for this very, very special Q&A session. You know, often it's so important if we can hear somebody else's experience, what they're doing, how they're going day to day, how that their life is functioning, how they're growing and healing through their losses. It helps us to hear each other's testimonies. And so tonight I'm going to welcome those of you that are on this call that you're going to be able to share things that you're actually doing that we can glean from. So we'll have a time for a question, maybe. If you have got something you'd like to add to what someone has said, just jump in and let's share. So here's the first question. We're going to start right here with this. Number one, how do you keep yourself organized?
I use my iPhone. There's a reminders app on the iPhone, and it you can list all your reminders. And once you have completed, it has a check mark, a place that you can check mark, and you can check mark it. And when you check mark it, it automatically leaves and goes to complete. Mm-hmm. And so right now I have 77 items on there, but I list everything: doctor's appointments. If I'm sitting there watching TV or if I'm in a doctor's appointment, you have your phone with you at all times. I just jot whatever I want to do. It has all my little projects in my house, that my garage door needed to be fixed. Just everything that I need to do is on here. And as I do it, I click it and it goes to the finish. So then I can go back and look, what have I completed? And it really helps me to keep everything done.
Anyway, I use my cell phone and I do the same thing with my calendar. I plug in certain important dates that are routinely done monthly, but I don't rely totally on that. What I use is a planner. And this is November, for instance. So you can see it's very busy, but I understand it because I have to have a visual of the whole month at one time. I can't just look at one day and then the next day and the next day. I have to have, for me, it in front of me the whole month. And I also have it color coded. So I have greens and reds and pencils so I can erase, and black. And I put things in there according to ministry as a color, personal as a color, GGM as a color, another ministry as a color, so that I can glance at this and see if I'm off a little bit, like I could be doing too much and not enough personal time. It kind of gives me a temperature of where I'm at in the month. Sometimes the holidays are a little bit busier because I do 6 different things a month in ministry at church with the seniors. And I also do 2 times a week an exercise program. And I do 2 times a month with that same group that comes to my house, and we do game day. And then I have Bible study once a week. I have church on Sunday. So I know certain things that I'm going to do on certain days. But then when I have the propane man coming out to hook my generator up, that's plugged in here on a certain day. The personal things that I need to take care of, I double check this with my vision board because the first of every month I look at my vision board to make sure that I'm on track also, because my word is organization on my vision board. So I look at that, and then if there's something that is sliding and I haven't got done for the month, I'll remember to put it in here. But I have it backed up on my phone because I always don't have this book with me every single place I am. But the main things are really in my telephone. But I love this is probably one of, out of all the questions, the best thing that I do the best for myself. And it's just how I need to do it so that I know what I'm doing on a daily basis. And if you were to call me and say, can you do this and that? I can look at this and say, I can plug in, here's 3 dates, and this is when I'm available, so that I know I can do that. So if that makes sense.
Perfect. So, very useful.
Well, I'm like a paper pencil person, also like Lynn. So I need to see it in front of me. It seems like I do my best work with a pen and a paper in front of me. So, like, at least every few days, I have what I call a brain dump. And I just think of everything I need to do, and then I can put it in categories and plug it in the dates and etc. But I like the idea of having your phone because you can jot it down in your notes or whatever and then transfer it over when you get home.
I do the calendar, and it's color coded and I cross it off as I go. It helps me, it helps my son when he comes to do stuff for me because he'll know where I'm at and if he can call me or what's going on. And also my daughter-in-law comes on Thursday, so I always plug her name in too. I also do it on my phone because I may have 3 or 4 things going in one day between the garden club, stuff I do for Lynn, the pool, just one thing after another. So that's what I do. I have them both, the phone and the calendar, because somebody will say, what are you doing on such and such? And you don't always have the paper there, but you have it on your phone too. But I like to see from day to day. When I go to bed at night, last thing I do is look at my calendar to see what I have going for the next day and get myself ready and situated for the next day.
I use computer programs to keep track of stuff. I actually have Microsoft Outlook loaded twice. I have one for the office and one for personal. And when I'm putting things on the office, I'll block out time that's personal, but I don't generally put anything on it other than it's a private meeting. So I don't overbook them. But I keep track of everything. So the office knows when I'm going to be working or not working, because that seems to be key to them. And then I keep personal stuff on there as well, trying to keep organized totally between the two.
So you open both of them every day?
Yeah, I open both of them multiple times a day. It's on my phone, it's on my computers, so I can keep them updated several ways.
Well, I'm so glad that this was your first question because this is an area that I really need help in. So I didn't have a lot, but I do use lists. I love a list.
Yes.
After I complete it, I mark it through. I used to get so excited when I could mark off the whole list for the day. And now as I've gotten older, I'm like, well, I think I have tomorrow. If I don't get it done today, I can finish it tomorrow. Not that we're always promised tomorrow, and then I do have a little calendar that I keep in my purse. So if I'm out and make an appointment or have a doctor's appointment or something, I just add it to that. And hopefully I won't forget or lose my list. I am good at that too.
I think we've all done that at times. Sure.
Okay. Most of my stuff that is organized is at work because that's the only place to really organize anything in the calendar. When I worked at the previous law firm, it was all in hand, and this came in so handy because they weren't paperless, and it had so many things in here. It's just awesome. I mean, it's like forget the phone. But when I went to the other law firm, now everything's digital, and paperless. So on my phone, I have the calendar, which is hooked up to my home phone. And so between the two, I know what's going on at work. And I know what's going on at church, so I don't have to really write any of that down. So that's what I do for my calendar. It's all paperless.
When I was younger and so energetic, I was like the queen of the multitaskers, but somehow I got demoted to housemaid or something. So that doesn't work anymore. So I'm with everybody. I've got to put it on paper and cross it out when you're done with it. But I do have a little calendar that's got a little room in it that I keep. It's like a book size. And it kind of ends up being a little bit of a journal, but I don't keep it to get it all messed up because it kind of keeps as a journal. But my main thing is I got to put it on paper. And if I need an alarm, I set the alarm on my phone and put it on the calendar in my phone too. And between all that, I can kind of keep it together.
Yeah. Well, I personally like pen and paper. This is mine. Every year I have a different one and different color, but I have chosen to use the Christian Planner. That's the one I use every single day. And mine's kind of broken up a little bit different. It has a space on the front for my vision board. So I have a big vision board in my private room, my areas, but this is just with me all the time so I can go back and look at something and be reminded, did I do that? Did I finish that yet? Or by the end of the year, then it's all full. Then this is an actual record of everything I have done in life. This big clip is the everything that's already accomplished this year. And then of course I like the full month too. I have to have that. So mine's kind of color coded too, with the different departments and areas that I'm responsible for and the different parts of my life. So it helps me to see it all on one page as well. And I always like to add a little seasonal thing at the bottom just to brighten it up. And then I also need a weekly one too. So my particular calendar has the monthly and then it has the weekly. This is this week already lined out where I can see the whole week at once, all of the dates, the appointments, the things I need to finish, my deadline, what's still to come, my evening events, all of that is all in 1 week. I need that. That helps me a lot to keep myself together and focused. And then in the back of mine, it's got different things like a whole lot of blank pages that I fill in. This is a lot of GGM things in here, my 2024 medical stuff that if I needed to call the doctor quickly, I could. This is MAH, Moms Against Hunger detail stuff that I need wherever I'm at. So this is kind of like my little portable desk, I guess you could call it. And then all the different books, all the different things. But then the one thing that's really nice about this one, there is a little file cabinet at the back of this, a file folder, I guess. And I have important things in here, like when somebody comes to my house, if they're allergic to something and I find out, I'll write their name down and it goes in this little list. And I have a running list of people and the things they like or don't like. So when they come to my house, I know that they're going to be served the right thing. I have the whole year's calendar, and this was the retreat here. Of course, you can see, but the whole year's calendar of events that we have done through GGM, all of that is in this little tiny file cabinet in the back of my book. So this goes with me everywhere I go. It's got my mission statement written here at the very, very back. But I like electronic stuff, but electronic stuff doesn't, it's just like bump, 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 bullet point. And my life is much more, I don't know what you call it, different. I don't know, but I need all of these different things with me from various functions I've attended. And sometimes when I come home, I will empty this into my office, obviously for different reasons, but it's very helpful to have all of that with me all the time. Sometimes I'll put something on the calendar, especially if my family, we're trying to coordinate dates on something. I'll put those dates in that calendar, but it's not really for my purpose. It's for my family to know what I'm doing and to make sure that we didn't cross dates on something. And that's how I keep myself organized. It helps me, I think, to feel like I'm not overwhelmed by life, but that I've actually got a plan and an order to my world that helps me not forget details. Like all of you have the same thing, but different ways of using it. Well, I want to welcome you to this very special session. And we've been talking about the different parts of our own personal lives and how we manage our devotions, our books, our habits, our organizational skills, and how we're doing all of these things. So we're going to continue this discussion with some more questions that I feel like are important for us to share with each other, different parts of our lives that are helpful. So, we've been talking about books. Let's move on from books into another form of media that can be very helpful, but very triggering too. And that's dealing with movies. Before I lost so many people, I did not realize that every other movie is about somebody's death. I didn't
Huh.
realize that. But once I start suffering these losses, try to watch a movie and you're like, oh no, somebody just died. Oh my goodness, this is happening now. And I remember my daughter would take me to the movies and she'd look over at me, Mom, can you handle this? It's like the movies weren't different. I was different. It affected me totally different. I just didn't realize that before. And so I became very, very cautious with what I was watching. And not that I wasn't cautious before, because I don't just watch any old junk. My brain is not a garbage can. But there are different uh, genres of movies that are non-helpful for me now. And I really guard myself not to let those things be a form of entertainment to me. Why? Because they can trigger emotion in me big time. I can see something that's a love story or something, and that'll trigger me, or somebody gets sick, that'll trigger me, and somebody's dying. There you go again. So what's left to watch?
No.
I mean, really, when you think about it, what is there? So, let's talk about that, because I started when people would say, oh, you got to watch this movie. I'd say, okay, does it have this in it, this in it, this in it? I want to know right now. And they'd say, no, 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 it's not like that. It's a easy movie. Okay, well then I'll try. And so I just started making myself a list of things when people would tell me, watch this. This is good. So the ones I have a little form here about my form, and I'll let you see it. I've highlighted the ones I have watched so far on this list that people have given me. So I'm going to share the ones I've watched just briefly. You might want to jot them down because I have pre-approved them in my own grief and loss, and these have been safe for me. The first one is called Queen Marie, a fantastic historical movie. Fantastic. The next one that I thoroughly have enjoyed is Hidden Figures. That
Yeah.
is a powerful movie. And then there's a movie called Pioneer Woman. Really good. And then Grace of Monaco. I sat and watched that movie 3 times in a row. It was that good to me. Sometimes when you watch a movie, especially if it's leadership, you can glean ideas from them, or how did they handle this challenge or whatever. That's very helpful. Grace of Monaco is that kind of movie for me. And then a movie called The Harvey Girls. Again, a historical one, but really, really good. Then a movie called The Immigrant. Really good. Then one named Traded. And one named Follow the River. A super good movie. Those are the ones I have seen. Now I'm going to go ahead and give you my personal list of the ones I haven't seen, which I can't vouch for yet because I haven't previewed them. But if you might want to listen to or watch them, you could. Here's the list. The Corn is Green. A Town Like Alice. Hooded Angel. A Shadow in the Sun. Strangers in Good Company. Florence Nightingale. A Heart Like Water. Corrie ten Boom, which I probably have seen that one, but I just don't remember it. And then Home Full is the last one I haven't seen yet. So that's my list. Do you have a list that you might want to share that I might be able to write down some things you've watched that are good? Jump in.
I just saw the new movie called I can't think the name of it. The Greatest Christmas Pageant Ever. It's a Christmas movie. It's about this little poor family that came to church and they get in the pageant. They know nothing about Jesus. And I mean, they're just like wild children, kind of.
Yeah.
But the lady who's supposed to do the play broke both her legs. She was an older lady, so someone else had to step in. It's all about that, but it's funny, but you cry too, and then it makes you realize that there are people who know nothing about the Christmas Story. But it's a very good movie. It's a new one.
Okay.
One of our friends, he helped to produce it or whatever you call that. So it's very cute.
Greatest Christmas pageant ever.
It should be showing right now.
I love the ideas because I'm not big on watching very much. I used to watch Hallmark, but that's all like lovey-dovey in the end and all this picturesque what the world really doesn't look like. So it's kind of entertaining, or could be, but it's very triggering. So I don't know much about movies, and I don't know when you all have time to do this. So for me, I guess that's not something I turn to do, but I should open my mind to looking at that. And I wrote down some of these titles so that maybe I'll do that through the holidays. Maybe that's something new to try.
It is something new to try, and it can be a way to relax your mind, get your mind off of things you've been working on, or responsibilities or the pressure, what you're dealing with day to day. And it can be a good thing if it's a healthy and wholesome movie, of course, which is why we're talking about this tonight, is because we are trying to retrain our minds to think differently and to react to stimuli differently. And so we want to be very careful with what we open our minds to see and hear. The same goes for books. You know, I found a book the other day that was from a country I spent some years in. And I thought, oh, this will be a great book. Let me get this. It's a fiction story, a Christian fiction story. But I got to a certain point in the movie where there's this relationship starts forming with her and this man. I'm like, I don't want to go down that road. So I just diligently kept reading. And then it got to where it was giving me a bad mood. And so I just thought, you know what? You're not worth it. You are not worth my brain cells going in that direction. So I threw it away. But you do have to be very careful if you don't want to be triggered and distracted. The problem with getting triggered is once it hits you, it can last several days, and it can be hard to pull yourself back up out of that. So there comes a time when you don't want to get stuck in that. When you're first experiencing loss, of course, it's like the waves of the ocean, it keeps washing over you. But you do learn to swim eventually. And so for me to allow triggers to happen to me would mean I'm jumping in the deep end and no, I don't know how to swim real good yet. Why would I do that? So I don't. I tend to guard my heart very, very much, my mind. But I do know I need a break once in a while from all the work, that I can't just be nonstop work. I need a break mentally. And so looking for healthy things to break it up helps me.
Go ahead.
I enjoy the cooking shows. I love watching those. My husband and I like watching where they decorate the cakes and they make the cookies. And the one we've been watching most recently is it a cake or not? And they have to make something, and then a panel of judges have to guess, is it real or is it a cake? So it's really interesting.
That's the name of it. Is it a cake or not?
Yeah, cake or not, or something like that. Yeah, it's really fun to watch it because they make it, and then they have the real thing next to it that they had to make it look just like, and then they have to figure out which one is the real cake, which one is not. And it's really fun because you'll think you figured it out, and then they'll go to cut it, and it's not cake. These people are so talented. So we like to watch that. And then my go-to for Sundays when I'm crafting is to listen to the series The Chosen. I always gain something out of that every time I listen to it.
Yes, that is an amazing series. Amazing.
Yes.
I loved that and watched it over and over, several different seasons of it.
Yeah.
Very worthwhile to see. Definitely.
Yep.
Oh, I know, now that Sight and Sound Theater from Branson, they have, filmed their like dramas. And so you can get those on, I don't know if it's what exactly how you get it, but you can watch like Daniel and Esther and all those kind of things are amazing.
So how would you find those? Oh, good.
Just Google Sight and Sounds from Branson. I bet it'll come up.
Good
How
idea.
to watch. Yeah. How to watch Sights and Sounds from Branson.
Yeah,
Good.
that'll work. There is a movie coming out on the big screen, and it's actually a Christmas concert. So it's not really a movie, but it's a concert from King and Country. And it's their concert called Little Drummer Boy. It will be worth seeing.
I'm gonna see.
Actual concert, but I'm an avid fan of that group, and we're going to see it, definitely.
And I'm in a different place with movies now because it's been over 18 years since my husband passed away. But at first it was like you, Gayla, it was so hard to look at any kind of love story. I just couldn't do it for a long, long time. But I think that the DVD that helped me the most was that older, the Gospel of John, that was portrayed, really kind of taken out of the text, the book of John.
Yeah.
And it was really well produced, had beautiful scenery and beautiful pictures. And it was, just really the book of John, but it was very natural, flowing, and realistic. And that really kind of held my heart together so well. I just looked at that over and over and over at first.
Haven't
Huh.
you found they've played a lot more Christian movies in the theater in the last couple of years also?
Yes, and people have been supporting them more too.
Yes, I'm so glad to see that.
They don't play very long, but I know they're there. I don't seem to get there, but it's something to think about when they come out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and they need our support so that they can continue.
Mhm.
Definitely. So, Proverbs 16:24 says, pleasant words are as a honeycomb, sweet to the soul and health to the bones. So, pleasant words that we hear, that we see, they can help us. And so when you find something that's healthy to watch and that can help you down the road and be a positive influence, I think we should take a chance and take a breath and watch those things, because it is helpful to have another point of view, not just hear your own words all the time in your head. You do need to hear other people's words. And that of course goes without saying, that the word of God and going to church and hearing the word there, but that's once a week or twice a week, maybe. And so you do need some other voices in your mind. Christian radio is great, but after a while, you do have to take a break, because it will become like you don't even hear it anymore. It doesn't touch your heart anymore because you've heard that same song 50,000 times. So break it up, lighten up a little bit, come up for air, because you'll find out that, wow, I really did enjoy that. It was a good break for me. And it helps your spirit, helps you when you lighten up. Okay, let's talk about something else in a whole different area of our lives. And that is this. And let me ask you this question. What is your daily routine? When you wake up, we've talked about your devotion time and the details of how you walk through that in the previous podcast. But now let's talk about your routine. Say you've read your Bible, you've gotten dressed, and you've had your devotion time, ready to eat breakfast, or maybe you've already eaten. Now what? You're facing a whole day. Now what do you do?
I look at my calendar and see what's planned for the day. I actually do that before I get dressed to know what to wear, how dressed to get, and where I'm going. And I actually look at a whole week at a time, so that I know a daily routine is something you do the same every day. But mine's pretty different. My routine stays the same as far as eating, brushing my teeth, reading the Bible, but what I do is dependent on like I twice a week go to swim exercise, and I know what days of the week that is. I have a Bible study. I know when that is. I know when the Zoom call is. And then different ministries that I'm involved in, I have certain days that happens. So mine's different every day, but it's a routine. And I watch my calendar to see what that looks like and know that I'm prepared for my day.
So you operate from written page.
Yes.
Mine's pretty basic. I get up in the morning and do my routine, and then I leave for work. I come home from work, and then depending on what ministry is going on that night, I go to that. And the nights that I don't go to anywhere, then I am working on crafting orders.
Do you find yourself at the end of your job, when you're leaving the job, you're looking forward to what your activities are?
I'd say 99% of the time. Yeah. Once in a while, I just want to go home, crawl into bed and go back to sleep. But that's because I'm, going so much. But other than that, no. I actually enjoy it. It's Mondays. I look forward to Grief Tide. Wednesdays, I look forward to CR. We're going to start a CR class, step study here pretty soon. So that'll add into it. And then my Saturdays and my Sundays, the things that I have going on.
Well, I have a special needs child, which we call her our forever child. So it at my house, it's kind of like the squeaky wheel gets the grease. Whoever needs it first. And I was gonna tell you guys something. I found out I was studying for my speech I had to give at the pie party, and I found this called the 3/8. Have you ever heard of that? I forget who it was that said this, but they said you need 8 hours honest work, 8 hours of good sleep, and 8 hours of leisure, which that is divided into faith, family, and friends, health, hygiene, and hobby, and soul, service, and smile. I thought that was really cool. I never heard it divided up like that, and it made me realize that I am kind of heavy on one side or the other most of the time. I need to reprioritize some stuff.
Right.
Yeah, it's we were talking the other day about sometimes we like to use the word balance to balance everything, but actually a better word than that is the word rhythm. That Jesus didn't balance everything on his shoulders all the time. He was able to carry it all, but he used rhythm. He would come into the people, he would minister to them, and then he would disappear and rest or pray or spend time by himself. They wouldn't know where he was, and then he would come back and minister again and then disappear again. So his rhythm was in tune with those three areas, most definitely, I'm sure. But his was a back and forth, and it would do us good to also put that into our routine, the rhythm. When do we rest? When do we take care of our body or emotions besides work? Now, if you have the unfortunate experience of loving your work and it doesn't feel like work, then you have to make yourself stop sometimes because you're just enjoying it.
Right.
And people say, you're a workaholic. No. I just really do love my work. And so, but then again, the rhythm needs to happen so that we don't burn out or so we don't physically become depleted. Okay, so my routine is the fact that after the essentials happen, then number one priority to me, and it has become this way in the last several years since he passed away, especially my husband, was putting my physical strength as number one priority, which means get outside and go walk. We can say, and I did for years, I don't have time to do that. Well, I only got one body. And if I wanted to stay healthy, I better prioritize it and quit putting it last on the burner because I only got one and I do not want to end up old and sick. If I can do anything about this body I live in, I have to be responsible and make it a priority as far as taking care of it. So that's my routine. Number one, after I get everything done, you're going to go walk because I need that time to strengthen my bone structures, my muscles, my core, and my blood pressure, and get out in nature and breathe that air and get a fresh perspective on the day. It's a perfect time for a prayer walk or worship time. From time to time, I will make a phone call, but it's my opportunity to prioritize this house I live in, to do my part, to be responsible, to take care of it.
Yeah, I get up every morning and the first thing I do is put coffee on, then I go wash my face and do all that. And while coffee is making, I empty my dishwasher and straighten up the kitchen, then I put a lot of clothes on, and then I fix my coffee and I go do Bible study for a couple hours. And that's kind of my routine every morning, as long as I don't have an appointment somewhere else. But that's what I do every morning.
Awesome. It's helpful. It helps to know what each other does. It gives us a good perspective and sometimes maybe a little energy to up our own game to do things. Okay, let's talk about number 6. How do you connect with the GGM Zoom call? I know there's different devices, so let's start with that right there. Are you on an iPad or how are you on this call?
I have Grief Guide Ministries on my phone, and on my phone, I have a link on the calendar. And I don't have to hunt for the Zoom. I don't have to figure out where it's at. I just go to today's calendar and click on the Zoom, and the meeting comes up.
I use an iPad, and I'm not quite that technical, so I'll go back to the April 23rd of 2023 email that you sent me, and I click on it, and it all comes up. So I don't know what happened if that disappeared.
It works, doesn't it?
But I look forward to Monday night because it's so fun to see everyone's faces of everybody that doesn't live in the same place and that's not in your own group. Sometimes they're in your own group, but I love seeing Illinois, other areas. I feel like I'm part of a family and it's family night. And then to share what each other are doing, getting different ideas. Plus we get the lesson ahead of time from Dr. Gala, and I think that's really cool. And then I can listen to it again on the podcast afterwards and look at my notes and get more out of it than I do just listening to it one time. So I think it's very beneficial for me. I just feel real connected to everybody.
Yeah, I do it on my iPad. I really get a lot out of it. I keep notes. I have a notebook that sits right by my chair that I take the Zoom on. And I find it very interesting how different everyone is about being intentional about their studies or even the Zoom call. Everybody's different and intentional. And so I find that fascinating, and I also learn from it. So I really enjoy it.
So I'm on an iPhone, just my phone. But the group helps me a lot. I just finished up Grief Share and I'm trying to move forward. So it helps hearing from you ladies and it's just something to look forward to.
I get on from my Samsung phone, and I have my link saved in a notepad. I have a notepad app that I save all my passwords and I save all this important stuff, and I have all the important information with Grief Guide on it. So all I do is click on it in this notebook and it brings me right to it. So getting on is a big help to me. There's days that you just think, oh, I'm not going to get anything. And then you get on and that's the most powerful message and the most beneficial to you. I'm always growing through this program and it always reinforces. So I think it's I love being able to listen to it.
You know, sometimes when later in the week or so forth, you'll run into somebody and you hopefully use some of those things that we talked about with them to help their life go forward, you know? 'Cause there are people in grief everywhere. And so learning for ourselves is very beneficial, of course, but then having something to help somebody else in need is also
Right.
very valuable.
I do enjoy, and I've really enjoyed over the time to see people really kind of come to life again and, get a smile on their face, and those kind of things. I especially enjoy that, when as we progress and address what has happened in our life and look at it from maybe a little better perspective and push ourselves a little bit, put a smile on our face sometimes so somebody else can see us smiling. I think that the progression I've seen in that has been very, very precious and very beautiful. And I know the Lord loves it too.
So I'm going to finish with this verse one more time that I read to you earlier. Proverbs 16:24. Pleasant words are as a honeycomb, sweet to the soul and health to the bones. So we were talking about all these different subjects that actually are health to your spirit and can help you counterbalance the losses that you have been through, because you still do matter yourself, and that God does still have joy for you. And that isn't just the experiences you've been through, but you matter too. So use your life, build joy in your life, build margins where you can take a breath and that you can feed your own spirit. So let me pray for us tonight, and I'm going to say goodnight to everybody. But Lord, I just want to ask you for your help. We're your daughters, and you put creativity in us. Spark us, Lord, into a new interest. Thank you for the abilities you've given us. Thank you for our routines. Thank you for opening our spirits to lighten our hearts, that we would take a fresh new look at who we are as people and find joy even in ourselves. In the name of Jesus, amen.
Amen. Thank you.
You are all amazing.
For more information, check out griefguideministries.com.